What is going on, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we're doing a brand new video as the United Mexican States. This is the 24th episode of this series. Of course, this is the longest series that I've done since I believe the 2019 United States series. So I'm really excited to see that we are returning back to some really long form content here, and I really am enjoying this series. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it. We are entering this episode in a state of war. We are not at war, however, the Turkish Republic is at war, and Greece has come in to defend the nation of Cyprus. This is a war not only between a NATO member and a European Union member, but also between two NATO members. And this is going to be interesting to see what happens to NATO between Turkey and Greece, to see which one leaves and what will happen. It looks like that Greece or Turkey is the initiator of this conflict. So I will look to see Turkey does have 100% of the responsibility behind this conflict. So usually whenever they do have a lot of responsibility behind the conflict, they're usually expelled from the organization. So we could see that Turkey is going to be removed from NATO in the coming months, but I will continue to keep an eye on the situation. Greece and Turkey are in a conflict with each other. It looks like that Turkey actually attacked it looks like that Turkey attacked Greek positions in Cyprus. So there is a situation unfolding in the Mediterranean and Eastern Mediterranean, unlike anything that we have ever seen. Obviously, two NATO members have never gone to war with each other, and if a declaration of war commences, we will be in for a show today. So what I reacted with, this is the reaction. So because of the Turkish idea that they can just go around attacking other countries, we will go ahead and manage financial sanctions against belligerent countries. And financial sanctions are a series of measures which aim to put the targeted country into financial difficulty by causing GDP losses and indirectly a decrease in the state revenue and an inflationary impact on the price of its currency. Various methods are used, which includes the seizure of the financial assets or bank accounts of the country and or their leaders, confiscating real estate, blocking transfers of capital within banks and the targeted country, and prohibiting financial activities of banking sector companies on the soil of the targeted country. So what we are going to do is that we're going to apply these financial sanctions against the Turkish Republic for their inability to go to the international scene, to go to the United Nations, to make complaints in the correct international forum. Instead, they resort to war. They resort to killing Cypriot nationals, Cypriot military members, because of a dispute between them and Cyprus. So we will not tolerate this from Turkey, and we will start to levy a few sanctions against them. So we will go over here. Aeronautical construction, we will put an export ban on Turkey. We will go over to automobile construction, and we will put an export ban on them. And then what else do we want to do? We already put a weapons ban on Turkey, so we don't really have to go over there. We will ban the export and import of Turkish steel. And we will also put an energy ban on Turkey, and we will ban the export of fuel, natural gas, and oil to Turkey. So we will also ban the import of such a resource, and we will go to natural gas and say lift the total embargo. We'll do the export and import, and oil, we will ban the export and import. And uranium, we will not worry about, but coal, we will also do the banning of the export and import of such a resource to Turkey, to and from Turkey. So this could have a drastic effect on our relations. However, it looks like that NATO has responded against Turkey. A massive, this is just getting even more interesting. Italy, Germany, and France have all declared war on Turkey. They are now defending their Greek ally. The United States has also gotten involved in this conflict, and Mexico could possibly get involved. We could send weapons over to Greece. We don't really have, we could send what could we do? I mean, I'm actually kind of considering like a small scale intervention into here. We could actually send a ship over there. So let's look. Let's go ahead and send submarines to patrol the area, and
we are going to
send a destroyer over there as well. Some cruisers, rank 4 cruisers. Could we have a neutral area that we could send this to, that we don't really have to worry about someone complaining? Let's send this over to the Arabian Sea, or the Indian Ocean, and we're gonna wait for just a moment before we get involved, because what we can do is that we can declare war symbolically, and then we can just have a small scale intervention. But what we're gonna do right now, call to allied countries after the Turkish attack.
In these dark days, I call on all our allies to maintain their commitments by standing at our side against the forces that threaten our country and the balance of power in this part of the world.
I am heavily considering the declaration of war against the Turkish Republic. Cyprus declares war on Turkey and issues an ultimatum. Are we a part of the United Nations Security Council? Are we? We are a member. We are not a part of the Security Council. So let's weigh our options carefully, but we will send weapons over to Cyprus. We will go ahead and send these weapons over to Cyprus to ensure that they have the means necessary to defend themselves. So let's go over to Cyprus and let's look to see what we can give them. We have an extra mortar rounds. Let's go ahead and give them some mortar rounds. We'll give them 10,000 mortar rounds from Mexico. We will also give them about, let's do 150 rank 1 tanks, and those will basically be sent out immediately. Selected weapons are taken from the available inventory and are sent to a base in the receiving country, where they immediately become the property of the receiving country. So let's go ahead and send those over to Cyprus and help them out in their war effort. There is 6,000 refugees that are on their way out from Cyprus and heading over, looks like, into Lebanon or Syria. So a massive situation right now. A full-scale war has broken out in the Eastern Mediterranean. Cyprus thanks Mexico for their donation of weapons, and war against Turkey. Give us weapons, please. France has declared war on Turkey. And it looks like that Turkey is upset at us. They are upset that we are giving sanctions against them, and just this is a crazy situation that is currently occurring. Let's go ahead and ask that we accept some of these refugees. I'm gonna see where these guys go, and we are going to immediately accept some of these refugees. Where are these refugees right now? Could we accept someone? Egypt has declared war on Turkey. Spain, the Netherlands has declared war on Turkey. Poland, this is a full-scale NATO intervention against a NATO ally. Turkey has been removed from the North Atlantic Alliance. They were the original founding member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and they have now been removed due to their warmongering actions against Cyprus. This is a full-scale escalation of the Cypriot-Turkish conflict that started way back in the 70s, and this is just a travesty on a humanitarian scale that we need to help out in. We have ships on the way to Turkey, and due to their full-scale attack, we will go ahead and launch our own military operation, and we will declare war on on Turkey. So let's go over to diplomacy, or actually military operations. We will launch a military attack against a country. This order deploys the armies and launches an attack on a country with the intent of conquering it. The mobilization of all military forces takes a certain amount of time, with various units gradually making their way to the front and reaching it as quickly as possible as your travel distance will allow. Let's actually say provide military aid for a country in its war. If the territories are conquered with your army, you will not be able to annex them. Military support action allows you to deploy your troops directly to the military bases of the country being aided, allowing you to quickly transport troops by cargo plane. Let's say Cyprus, and say under the exclusive control of the head of state. And this is provide military aid. Okay, so this is against the country, so this is the correct option. We'll go ahead and launch a military effort to help Cyprus. Request donations from a country, make televised surrender, propose a peace treaty in Mexico and Turkey. And so we can actually transport troops over to here. So this is going to be a concerted effort. Let's go ahead and send our troops over, our ships over to Cyprus, Cypriot waters, and start launching missile attacks against Turkey. And we have a major TV address. This is the first time that I have declared war in a series in a very long time. So let's go ahead and see what Claudia Scheinbaum has to say about Mexico's declaration of war officially against the Republic of Turkey.
Fellow esteemed citizens, our current situation is critical. Faced with repeated provocations from this rogue state that is threatening both our country and the international community, I have made a conscious decision to declare war. We regret that diplomacy has failed. It is now up to our guns to speak for us so that we can defend our homeland.
All right, and we are now sending Mexican sailors over to the situation. We will also send a small contingent of Mexican troops in order to help defend against Turkish attacks in the region. So let's go ahead and see where I can try to send these guys. If I can actually get a base somewhere near this area, so who could I ask? We could ask Tunisia. I think Tunisia would allow us to place at least a jet or two over there, and then we can launch some long-range attacks against Turkey. I think if Slovakia could actually allow us, but we would have to ask for the request passage through Hungary and Romania. We don't really have someone that we can ask. So I think we're going to do Tunisia, and we're going to launch long-range attacks against Turkey during this operation. All right, and we have a meeting with the president, I believe the prime minister of Tunisia. A bloody war has broken out in the Eastern Mediterranean, and it looks like the United States has gotten involved as well. 5,079 American troops have been killed in this conflict. It looks like that the United States is now suffering its deadliest conflict, not only since Iraq, in which about 4,000 U.S. troops did lose their lives during the conflict. It looks like that it is the deadliest conflict since Vietnam in U.S. history. So this is a major commitment to the by the United States for committing to Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, and that the United States is defending its allies in Greece and as well in Cyprus. Let's go ahead and offer a coffee to Tunisia and propose a military alliance. We're going to ask that a non-aggression pact has been signed, and they accept it. Let's go ahead and ask that a beletting authorization is accepted between our two countries. All right, and they have accepted my beletting authorization. So we will go ahead and wait for them to give me the authority to put a airbase in Tunisia, and we will start the process of moving troops over into Tunisia. and it looks like that we have come too late. The enemy has surrendered, as said by the president of Turkey, and the enemy, it looks like that there is a TV address. We'll go ahead and see what she has to say.
It is with emotion and pride that I announce the capitulation of those who yesterday imagined they would subjugate us. Let us celebrate our victory and come together to honor those who died for the greatness of our country.
Turkey is now a pariah on the international scale, so it is just unfortunate that we were not able to continue our building relations with Turkey. I feel like a joint Turkish-Mexican alliance could be just a very interesting type of alliance, but it looks like that we are having some pushback against our military intervention. Demonstration against government policy. We have lost 30% in approval due to the deployment of Mexican troops into the international space. So usually whenever you are playing a country which is not usually involved in international affairs, especially whenever it comes to the deployment of troops, usually you don't really have that good of a reaction to whenever troops are deployed. In my experience, usually whenever I've played countries that are not usually involved in international affairs, whenever you don't have troops deployed, usually you do have some pushback against the deployment of troops. And so I believe we may have to call our troops back in order to kind of like afflict any type of deposal by the civilians of the Mexican states. Turkey looks like that they're proposing a peace treaty to us. The frontiers remain unchanged. The two countries retain their historical borders such as they were before. And yeah, this is mainly because I went onto the side of CYPRUS, and of course there was no war between us. There was no actual shooting and the likes of that. So unfortunately, I say unfortunately as if I was waiting to just Mexican soldiers just waiting to just be released into the wild. As of right now, CYPRUS no longer exists. CYPRUS is now an integral part of Turkey. Of course, Mexico does not recognize this, and the war between NATO and Turkey continues, it looks like. However, Mexico is no longer at war with Turkey, it looks like. So our troops will be returning home as nothing happened, but we did see an entire war play out. What we will do, I think refugee wise, we could, let me see, military operations, recall Guatemala. I don't have any troops on the way, so I didn't send anyone because I think I was about to, but I think it was, I took it as a safer bet that if we go over to Tunisia and launch like long range attacks, then it would be a lot safer for our troops. Refugees are still continuing to spill out from Tunisia, and short of missiles in Turkey, looks like Turkey is running out of missiles, unfortunately. Pacifist Union, and we're going to increase subsidies over to, okay, let's look. So we did have the presidential election. We're going to increase our subsidies over to our agriculture sector. And we're going to increase this to 25 billion pesos. That way we can get our approval rating back and also continue to subsidize our agricultural sector, which is doing a lot better than the beginning of the game, so I really appreciate that. And let's look at the results of our electoral cyber attack. I'm getting back to you to give a report on the cyber attack. We have influenced the party results by 50%, give or take 5%, and the party has lost the election. This is the electoral cyber attack on the United States Republican Alliance's servers, and that means that the United States has continued to support a Democratic government in office for the next 4 years. So that is really good for Mexico, that we have secured our next 4 years until the 2032 election. So it's usually going to be like every 4 years kind of thing. Fortunately, we don't really have to worry about Biden's just raw unpopularity. It looks like that they have elected Charles Schumer into the position of president of the United States, which is a hilarious concept to me. Sinaloa cartel agent dies on the mission. That is unfortunate. Host bases are now available in Tunisia. So if we ever need them, then that is available to us. It is kind of unfortunate that we were unable to get involved into a war. However, the fact that we were able to declare war is a rather symbolic gesture to the West that we are on their side militarily. So we did at least help them out with Cyprus. The fact that we were able to send them some the fact that we were able to send them some tanks, everything like that. We did have a little bit of an effort that was concentrated, but it wasn't enough. Cyprus is just too small of a country in order to fight against a larger country like Turkey. They would fall extremely quickly. I mean, their capital city is literally on the border with Turkish Cyprus. So that is very unfortunate. What I am also really interested in right now is the fact that this name changed. So we see that Cyprus was annexed by the Republic of Turkey into the Turkish sphere. It is now a part of Turkey. But Cyprus changed its name to Sovereign Cyprus. So I think that is really interesting that that is a thing. I never noticed that before. I've seen annexations happen, but it's really interesting to see that the name of Cyprus, instead of just being Cyprus, it's Sovereign Cyprus. So I think that's really interesting concept that is a part of here. Every time I play this, every time I play like through a long playthrough, there's more things that I kind of discover about this game. Turkey is in just absolute chaos right now, so we actually might see the possible liberation of Constantinople, according to some people. If you're also wondering what's going on in Greece, it looks like that 2 cities are now under the control of communist rebels in Greece. So it's kind of the whole situation in the Eastern Mediterranean is just a absolute cluster F. Like I've completely lost every bit of information about what's going on in Greece and Turkey, everything like that. Let's go over to North Lebanon. Let's request that we're gonna go ahead and accept 50,000 refugees from Lebanon, because we know there's a lot of Cypriot people that fled over into Lebanon. So I think it could tell us where these refugees are from. I think it might be a mixture. So let's go over to Mexico. Let's go over here and let's see where our refugees are from. So we have 49,000 from Syria and 833 from Turkey. So unfortunately, we did not accept anyone from Cyprus. That is rather unfortunate. But at least we are accepting refugees. Kind of makes us look a little bit better. I think we could actually accept maybe like 50,000, 150,000 more. That way we have just another population of people. And then possibly those people could become citizens of Mexico if they so wanted to. Let's go over here to immigration. Let's go over here to legislation. And let's carry out a massive regularization operation. We can regularize 500,000 people in Mexico right now. I think we're going to continue to wait until we get about 1 million people that we can regularize. Usually that's when it's fashionable, but I think 500,000 is still a good amount of people to regularize. But because 1 million is 1 million, I would rather wait until we hit 1 million. So another missed opportunity for Mexico is that I wanted to, according to one of my subscribers in the previous episode, they asked me that I should increase my relations with Australia, and so that was going to be a possibility. But it looks like that Australia just had a federal election, and they have elected the Conservatives into power. So unfortunately, there will not be a Mexican-Australian free trade agreement, as the opportunity for this has passed until the next federal election in 2031. That is a very unfortunate, I've said unfortunate like 4 times now. That is very just sad for the future of the Mexican economy, because it locks us out of a major economy for the next 4 years. So we will have to be looking at other ways to extend our economic influence. We could also look to Brazil. I believe we do already have a free trade agreement with Brazil. Yes, we do. We also need to consider that a economic and political agreement could be a thing. So let's go over here. Let's see whether Guatemala could accept such a agreement. So let's go ahead and do this. A economic and political agreement. This is the affected sectors are all of the sectors without a quota system. Tariffs are completely eliminated. Border control is very light. Access to the partner's public market. Regulations are compliance with security and health regulations imposed by the partner for incoming products. Recognition of country of origin labels is verified by the partner. We are ecologically compliant, so compliance with the sector's environmental impact standards of production regarding global warming, which is low CO2 emissions, which means that we have to have a CO2 emission per capita of less than 10 per capita. Observance of human rights and working conditions, which means that we have to have a minimum wage, which is sufficient enough. And intellectual property protection, which is that copyrights, brands, and patents are protected under the free trade agreement. We have fiscal harmonization, which means that our company tax has to be 21% or more. And we have fight against social dumping, which is the fight against basically that if I have a company tax that's like 15% in Mexico, and Guatemala has a 26% company tax. Obviously, your company is probably going to want to move to Mexico because they tax you less. That is supposed to prevent this. So let's go ahead and accept this. I feel like that the minimum wage will have us be rejected, and maybe even the environmental protocols may reject us. So let's go ahead and continue on. And there's a couple of funding measures that we could go for, but I'm going to wait until about the end of the month to look over what we need to do. All right, and we have our answer for the political and economic pact with Guatemala. It has failed. It says that my wage level is too low in my country, so that means we have to increase the minimum wage. However, the last time that we tried to increase the minimum wage, that caused us to have an issue with illegal unemployment. So that is going to be a non-starter for right now until we can figure out how to increase our minimum wage without risking the increase of illegal unemployment. So that is very unfortunate for our free trade agreements, and could actually lock us out of a free trade agreement with the United States in the future. So we have a global economic treaty with the United States, and could we seek one with either Canada or Japan? Taiwan could also be a pretty good customer whenever it comes to this, but we don't really have optimal relations with them. We could also seek one with South Africa. I think South Africa could be one. What about Taiwan? No, I think we need at least like 50 whenever it comes to these free trade agreements. We could also seek one with Uruguay, but they're not really comparatively a big economy compared to us. We don't necessarily have good relations with anyone. I think the only comparable economy to us is GDP. Wow, we actually have a way bigger economy than Japan or Norway. I can't believe I just called them Japan. If India could elect a liberal government, then we could have a pretty good free trade agreement with them. But unfortunately, they continuously will always elect a pretty conservative government. The right wing just has its claws all the way inside of India. It looks like that the war in Turkey has come to an end. They are still bombing the Syrian Kurdish resistance, but it looks like all fighting in the Eastern Mediterranean has come to an end. So that is a very unfortunate end in the existence of Cyprus. I know the comments are just going to be going crazy over Turks and Cypriots in the comments down below. So for those that are Cypriots that are watching this, I'm very sorry to see that your country is no longer existing in my gameplay. So we have the brain implants patented by HMM Land in Mexico. The sales of personal recording implants are booming. These recorders store all visual information perceived by the user on HMM cards, which is hollow multimedia memory. These are true movie cameras that record all our life in our brain. It is, of course, and it is possible to remove all the passages that one wants to, thanks to a very simple hollow remote control. You won't even forget anything, and you can review any sequence of your life as many times as you like. So that's especially reminds me of Black Mirror. 1.3 trillion pesos has been added to our treasury. Unhealthy housing situation, 18.76% of our housing situation is at risk of, or is debilitated, but we are working on that. And we have a meeting with the president of Brazil. We are going to be asking for a import agreement. So we're going to be importing some raw materials from Brazil, and I will see you guys on the other side whenever I sign such an agreement. All right, and I was only able to get one agreement between me and Brazil. So what I originally wanted to do is that I wanted to, let's go over here to diplomacy. I wanted to import bauxite so I could concentrate on my own industry whenever it comes to bauxite. What I originally wanted to do is that I wanted to import bauxite from Brazil, who produces a lot of bauxite, and usually what I do with that is that I want to concentrate on my aluminum industry. But because our prices were so similar on the purchase and sale of bauxite, I just straight up just said, okay, they have enough aluminum to where I should be good for a while. So I just went ahead and just signed an aluminum import agreement with them, and that one was worth 65 billion pesos, and that'll be signed in for 5 years. That should actually kind of reduce my commitment or my inflation a little bit, because we're buying a product and not selling a product. Other news, child prostitution numbers are on decline, which accounts for now 0.05% of the population. We'll have to go and fund that measure in a minute. Puebla World Music Festival is next week, and no incident has been reported in 2 months. So that's at least good that the war situation has levied itself. But again, unfortunate that Cyprus has fallen under Turkish hands now. They have been removed from NATO by all of the NATO countries. So again, that is still a very unfortunate situation to see happen in Europe. So we do see that the interest rate in Mexico goes up to 0.16%, and that the Caillou is still strong, but we still have a inflationary crisis every about year and a half. We do see that inflation goes up, mainly because of my growth rates. So we just have to continue to increase our taxes, which are aligned more with controlling growth. But I'm starting to hit peaks whenever it comes to this, so I think I might have to increase the value added tax in order to do this. So I think we could go for like a maximum 20% VAT tax. In order to alleviate the effects that the value-added tax has, we could decrease the income tax, or at least another major tax, probably the employer and employee social security payment taxes, mainly. That way people just have more money in their pocket, even though we are taxing goods a lot more. So this episode was pretty successful. We prevented the Republicans from coming into power in the United States, and we, at least, even though we were not militarily involved, we did declare war on Turkey in order to say we are no longer on your side. We have no interest in economically cooperating with them. And because of the occupation of Cyprus, we will now end the total sale of any industrial goods to Turkey. So we will put a total export and import ban on Turkey and ensure that they receive no products no products from us. Services will also be banned by Mexico, and we will no longer economically participate in the Turkish economy. Let's also see if they are a part of the United Nations. They are still a part of the United Nations. And what are they? Are they a part of the WTO? They still are. So let's go ahead and go to the next day, see what the reaction is to the economic sanctions we just levied. And of course, nothing happens. So good. Budget surplus of 4.39%, 2.46 annual growth rate. So that means inflation should start going down, which is good. And we have a 4.08% surplus. So very good news to see all over Mexico. Mexico is prospering right now. And in the next episode, we're going to dump a huge amount of money. I think we're going to be spending over 1 trillion pesos into our healthcare and our education sectors in order to continue our development and ensure that Mexico is going to be at least 2% of the world economy by at least the middle of 2030. Or at least not 2030, but I would say 2032, 2033. But I think that if we were to do a massive sales contract, I think that would be a possibility to hit 2%. But we're not going to rush it. We really don't want to rush it because we don't want to overinflate our economy. Guys, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.